All right, welcome to the Seraphine podcast. This is the Phiending for More portion of it, and I am going to be interviewing Team Phiend. So one of our newest members is Chelsey Attia. Welcome.
Thank you.
I am so excited to have you a part of the team. I feel like it was kind of instant synergy when I met you. Mm-hmm. Giovanna kind of knew. Giovanna was the one who brought her on board to the team. And we sat down. I was having a shitty ass day. I was so fucking drained. And Chelsey comes in to meet me. And Chelsey and I had met before, but we had met under Woodside when we were both working there. And we both were kind of in that like, we kind of knew each other, but we wanted to establish, I think, that we weren't just like Woodside team. There was the other side of us.
Yeah.
So I want to know your first impression of me via Woodside and then getting to know me now. It's all about me, folks.
Yes. I met Seraphine at Woodside, and I was actually working at the pool at the time, and her husband, Johnny, would come to the pool, and super, super sweet. I really did. I loved everyone that went to Woodside for the most part. They were all great people, but I remembered you. I remembered your order, and I don't know. I didn't really get a chance to talk to you or get to know you that well, but I always really liked your energy. Thought you were super sweet. And then meeting her at dinner with Giovanna, we got a chance to really deep dive and get into some things that really mattered to us and get to know each other a little bit better. So I loved that. I loved that you were open and willing to get into a deeper conversation with me, meeting me the first time. And it's harder for me normally to open myself up to someone that I don't know very well, but I felt very comfortable with you. And I didn't get the vibe that you were having a bad day. You were just quiet and a little bit more quiet and really chill. And then when we left, Giovanna told me she is normally really bubbly, and I was I really didn't get the feeling that anything was off, but it was great. I loved it. It really was an instant synergy with all three of us. We really clicked well.
Definitely. Well, It's funny because my first impression of you, I remember being at the pool and just having that first moment, because my husband used to date blondes, right? So me and my husband are notorious for being kind of on the jealous side and being because we're totally in love with each other. So I see her come and she's got either hair blowing in the wind, or she always had these perfect French braids. Beautiful, beautiful body. If you ever see Chelsey without her sweater dress on, you would be like, girl. So I was completely but then in the next breath, she came up with this huge smile on her face and was the friendliest, sweetest girl. So that was my first impression, was just gorgeous, beautiful blonde. And I was all right, this girl is cool. So then Giovanna was hey, there's a friend of mine, you have to meet her. And then I remember Giovanna saying, but I just want to give you just the heads up. She doesn't want to be known just for beautiful pool girl, right? And she was just, sit down and I was all right. Giovanna kind of picked up on the vibe with me, where it's all right, I'm not that I prejudge, but I definitely am somebody who I do need to get to know someone.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're really similar. So that time that the three of us were together, I really saw your friendship with Giovanna, and I saw the trust that the two of you had and this friendship. But when I fell in love with you was the day that you and I went to Restoration Hardware, and then we had that little lunch at North. And it's so interesting because Chelsey has this persona to her when you first meet her that either can come off as aloof, or if you're somebody who's hyper judgy, she could come off as almost a little cold. And she's so not that person. I think you are a thoughtful person. I think that you're somebody who likes to observe and watch before you kind of dive in. And then the privacy part I really appreciate, because my husband is insanely private. And over just the last 2 years, me, who's usually an open book, really values there are parts of me that are pretty private. And I really appreciated our conversation that day, because I think we really kind of peeled back a few layers that, again, maybe you would never think about me, or I would never think about you. Yeah. So that's kind of how our friendship and now the working relationship is so cool because your background, you went to Phiending, and you've got a lot of fashion background in you. You lived on the West Coast for a while, correct?
I lived on both.
Coasts.
I lived in North Carolina after high school, and then I moved back to Kansas City and to finish my bachelor's, and then I moved to Los Angeles and got a secondary degree in visual communications from Fashion Institute.
It's so cool. Your eye is like, what I like about your eye is you are true to your aesthetic. And I love that, you love kind of plaids and you love that kind of like East Coast girl, but you also throw in a little bit of that West Coast vibe where you kind of funk it up and it's like a little, I don't know, a little edgy. Can you describe, like in your own words, what you think like your personal aesthetic is?
It does change depending on seasons. It's weird. When I was in LA, I was very much a California girl. Yeah. Like I had a skateboard, a little penny board. I wore like the dresses. I wore the bell bottoms. My hair was like always in the beach wave. I love that look. That's free. That's like true me. I do love in the fall. I'm always inspired by Gossip Girl.
Yes.
I love Serena van der Woodsen and Blair Waldorf.
I do.
XOXO Gossip Girl. So I love that look, but I don't know. My style changes all the time, and I really like. I'll look for the trends of the season, but I'll pick the ones that I like, the ones I want to try, and then there's some that just aren't for me, aren't for my body type. So. It just depends. I'm always open to trying new things.
What's a style or someone that like is completely opposite of you, but if you could get into their wardrobe and try on their vibe for a day, who would it be?
I don't know. That's I don't know. Everyone that I love their style, I always try something that they do. But someone that is totally different than me, who would that be? I'll have to think about that. First person that comes to mind, but I wouldn't try everything she wears, is Miley Cyrus.
Yeah. Oh God, she's got that long linear body.
I love her body type. Oh, she kills it, and the things that she can wear because of her body type, I'm like, you're killing it. Yeah. Other than that, I would have to really think about that, but.
I love it. Now, I think the other thing you should know about Chelsey is there's a little bit of a hopeless romantic in her.
100%.
I love it because she's somebody who I think, from what I have gathered from your conversations with Giovanna and just hearing you two talk, is that you've always loved the idea of being in a relationship, but I think, again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you really were like waiting for the one and not going to ever just, you might love, but you're not going to just settle to be in a relationship.
100%. I always said, if I don't meet someone that I'm absolutely in love with, like, I'm okay with being single. I would rather be single than just be with someone to be with someone. So I was single for a long time. I was in a really serious relationship when I was young, 17 to 21. We were engaged. And it was my first boyfriend, like my first real boyfriend. And I didn't know myself then. And then once I started to really understand myself, and I had a lot of goals that I wasn't in that relationship, wasn't going to be able to accomplish because it just, our like paths weren't aligning. And so I started to get this feeling that I'm young and I really want to accomplish these things before it's too late. I don't think it's too late to accomplish things, but for certain things, yes, it was like going to LA. It was like doing that whole thing. And I want a family someday. So I couldn't do that if I waited. So anyways, we ended on really good terms. I wished him nothing but the best still to this day. Like, he's doing his thing. I'm doing, you'll find out soon what I'm doing. But yeah, it was good. And then I was single after that. I was like, I really want to be single for a long time because I want to focus on my career. I want to do all these things without meeting someone. I didn't think I was ready for that. So I was single for 7 years, dated casually, like went on a couple of dates, nothing really fit right. So then fast forward to I'm 28 at the time, and I am walking with Giovanna. All my best moments, I feel like Giovanna is always in my like life-changing moments. Yeah. This one I will never forget. Giovanna and I were together, and we were we were walking down the street in downtown Kansas City on a Sunday afternoon, and I've always been attracted to like taller men. I see this tall man walk up the stairs, and I'm like, okay. So we go and do our own thing, and then we're taking some pictures, and he walks by again. This time we locked eyes and we smile at each other. I'm like, G, did you see him? She's like, yeah. And I was like, he's cute. She's like, you got to go talk to him. So we spent like the next 10 minutes. She's trying to convince me to go talk to this beautiful man that's sitting like right over there. And we kept looking at each other. So finally she's like, let's go. And I'm like, all right, let's go then. So we walk up the street, and I just like turned around and gave him a little wave. Like, I don't know why I did it. I did it. And so then I kept walking, and G is behind me, and she's like, Chelsey, he got up from his chair. You got to go talk to him. I'm like, no, G, I'm not. She's like, Chelsey. She literally stomped her foot. Chelsey, he could be our person.
I totally see her doing that.
Yeah, she did. And I said, G, if he's my person, if I'm supposed to meet him, he'll find me.
Yeah.
So then he walks around the other side of the building and walks across the street. And I'm like, G, he's coming. And her back's away from him. And she was like, the guy? I was like, yes, he's coming. And I knew in that moment, as soon as I said, if it's meant to be, like, he will find me, I knew he was supposed to find me. Oh. So the rest is history. Like, now I'm married, and like, I could not have asked for a more kind and considerate and patient and loving. He is just, I've never met anyone like him, and I never will.
He is a presence. So the first time I met Hassan, he is 6'9", 10. Mm-hmm. Jesus, Mother Mary and Joseph. The man is tall. He is an athlete. I mean, we're talking like everything about him says NBA player. Mm-hmm. He is tan, he is Egyptian, and he is this, like, if I ever want to put you guys in like a couple's Halloween costume, he would so be the Pharaoh, and you would so be like Cleopatra. Like, he is, like, I can see him behind you with, like, you know, he's just got that vibe.
He's definitely has a presence, and he definitely catches the eyes. Like, you cannot miss him.
No. Well, the two of you together are pretty stunning, because you can't have someone as like dark, tall, and handsome, and then this blonde with like these big blue, gorgeous eyes and hair. Like, you guys are definitely meant for each other aesthetically, but then being around you two, when we were at Giovanna's sister Bianca's get together, it was just so cool to see kind of the way that, like, a lot of times, like, my husband has a way with that too, to where he kind of lets me go a little bit center stage, and he'll kind of take a little back seat, but when the time is right, he comes in and he just fills the spaces in all the right ways with my friends. But if you see him in general, he's a guy's guy. He's like, he knows how to shift. So have you met, like, I'm sure you have met, but like his friends, what's he like outside of your relationship?
He is, okay, so his friends used to call him the grandpa, because my husband, he's Muslim, and he does not drink. So anytime when when he was in college, his friends would go to parties, they would call him. He takes care of his friends. He makes sure everyone is good. He is just so caring and thoughtful. So his friends call him the grandpa.
I love it.
He kind of like takes care of everyone. Like one of his friends, like his friend's cold, so he puts his arm around him, like he's holding me on this side and has him on this side. He keeps us all. He's just literally an angel.
I love it. I love that. So the other thing I want to know is, on the relationship and friends side, talk to me about what I call your, it doesn't have to be necessarily 5 people, but like your top 5 that are like, these are like my go-to people.
Well, we already know one sitting over there. Giovanna is definitely one of the only people I've fully trusted. Yeah. Like aside from my husband and my parents. Like,
how long have you guys known each other?
I think we met in like 2012, so 8 years now.
Wow, that's cool.
It's flown by. But we didn't really get super, super close until like 3 years ago or so. I don't know.
How do you guys complement each other?
Oh gosh, Giovanna is like, Giovanna is, she motivates me in life and career especially. She is not afraid to go after what she wants. She has no fear, and that is very inspiring to me, because as much as I don't like it, like I get scared, I get fearful, I let fear hold me back a lot in a lot of ways. So she's really pushed me, and she is my biggest cheerleader. Like, literally, I've never had a friend that genuinely wants the best for me. Yeah. Aside from what, it's the least selfish thing. Like, it has nothing to do with her. She wants the best for me. She puts me on like so much. So Giovanna is definitely one of my top people.
Before you go to the second one, how does she get you in trouble?
Oh, in trouble. I don't know.
Come on. She's got to bring out like a little bit of like a little side of you.
What would you? I don't know.
I love it.
She is like a funky, sassy, like dance girl, and
she does. She kind of breaks the ice lady out of you. Like she does. Like you'll melt a little bit more around her sometimes. I love it. I love it.
I'm comfortable around her. Yeah. So I'm like you said earlier, I'm very private. So I don't ever mean to come off cold. I just like,
and I'm teasing you, but
no,
I
know.
I kind of love the ice queen aesthetic because it's so like you want to be her friend so bad, but you gotta like warm her up and melt her. And Giovanna can do that. She's like she's a little warmer.
Giovanna's very like persistent in all ways, but I love her so much. Okay, so Giovanna's one.
And second,
in relationships too, obviously my husband is my person over everyone, and then my parents. And then my other best friend from childhood, Haley Monaco, love her. She just announced her pregnancy, going to be a part of like really special moments with her. So she's another one. She can just get me laughing. Anyone that can make me laugh, like, oh, we have a good time. We have a good time. So those are my people.
So now when you're in this interesting phase, because I feel really lucky that you're a part of the team right now, but as with Aaron and with Giovanna, I feel like there's a lot of talent within you. So like I'm enjoying the time I have with you, but I'm always like, there's always this part of me that's like, oh God, you might be a season, you might be with me a season. You might be with me long term. I don't know. So when you think about your future, and no pressure, no insult to me, what would you like, where do you see, where have you evolved from? Like, where did you think you were going with your career to up until now? And then where do you think you're going to go?
When I first started thinking about career and started going to school, I thought I was going to be a stylist. Like that was my thing. And then I interned for a few stylists in LA. And then I realized I was like, this isn't really for me. Didn't
you intern with Rachel Zoe?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Rachel Zoe and Michaela Erlinger. Michaela used to do Jared Leto, and she does Lupita Nyong'o, some really, really amazing people. So I'm so blessed. Yeah. I've been meaning to tell you this because you've talked about Alessandro, the Gucci creative director. He's creative director, right?
Yes, he is.
So when he first became Gucci's creative director, he took Jared Leto to the Oscars. And I was there when they first met.
Shut the front door. I'm so jealous. I wish I could go into your brain and see that whole little reel back.
At the time, it was like no big deal. Now I'm like, gosh, that was cool. Because like we were getting ready for the Oscars.
Yeah.
We were getting him dressed.
And Jared became one of his muses.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool you got to see that first meeting. So
very cool.
Give me a little, like, do you remember anything from that?
I just remember he was so sweet. Alessandro was so sweet. And he came in and his hair was down, and I think he was wearing like a maroon suit.
Yeah.
That to the Oscars, but I could be wrong. Could be Jared that wore the maroon. I don't remember who, but it was surreal to me. I didn't really know much about I mean, I was in fashion, but I didn't really know who was creative director, who was anything. It all was kind of a blur to me. So afterwards, I was like, wow, that was really cool. And then seeing how it evolved and how Jared like remained part of Gucci and became like, you know, the face of Gucci Guilty and all that stuff.
Well, and I love the fact that, I mean, this is kind of going off topic because I want to go back, but I love the fact with fashion designers and people who even, you know, that are quote unquote famous or have a team, and they really allow everybody in the team or their muses or the people who are working for them to shine. I've always loved the idea of, I know a posse sounds horrifying, but it's that sense of like a group that's together, that's stronger together, but individually they can shine. Totally. And he's somebody who I just like, when I think of Alessandro and what he's done, it's a little bit of an inspiration of like, if I have a team, it's like, I want them to be amazing and not codependent, you know, with whatever. So back to when you were styling there, what flipped the script for you? Because it sounds pretty dreamy. I mean, like Rachel Zoe, Alessandro, being around celebrities. What changed?
Honestly, like I didn't really want to be around celebrities.
Yeah.
I was like, this is really not, I like the more creative, like it doesn't, I don't know, the more creative jobs don't make as much money, but they're more fun. So the styling for red carpets and stuff, it's all very like, okay, you have 3 key looks there at the front of your rack, and that's really what they're going to style, but you have to come with like 8 racks that they know you did your job. So we're like the hard work that goes into styling, you just don't ever see, but it's the assistants and the interns that are like, especially at Jared's house. Oh my gosh. We had to go down the stairs around his pool. Like it was a lot. Yeah. But that part of it, I was like, I want to have a life too. Yeah. I really do. A part of like me moving back from LA was that I really needed a better work-life balance. When I moved from LA, so I had transitioned from styling, and then I was working for a designer, Juan Carlos Abando. He does like beautiful gowns and everything, and we had a really small team, and the job was in PR. I didn't know about PR. It wasn't even on my radar, but the job fell into my lap, and it was a really cool opportunity, amazing opportunity. But that was not a creative job. That was more of like a lot of emails. What my job was to place his gowns in red carpets and in editorials that fit for him. So I would get tons of requests. I never really had to reach out to anyone. Must
be so nice.
I would get tons of, because he was a cool designer. Like he had amazing stuff. He was legit, but he wasn't super well known like Gucci. So that like a lot of cool people wanted his stuff. Like Chloe and Hallie, I think it's Hallie, those 2 amazing, beautiful ladies, they wanted his stuff. It was cool. So that was a very stressful job.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because I was the only one in the PR team. There was only 6 of us, including the designer, and there was a seamstress in house. Like it was very, very small. So after that job, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back to Midwest for a little bit. Yeah, I needed to take a break because I didn't have. I like at this point, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to start dating. Yeah. So bringing it back to like my personal life and being a hopeless romantic, I was like, I really just like want someone to come home to, and like in my day with and relax with, because I was by myself a lot. So
didn't you find in LA, because I found it when I lived in Southern California and New York, that dating there was fun, but everyone was kind of in their own, like, I want to be a celebrity world. Totally. Or they were in New York, it was making money. So like the idea of coming home to someone, you were never home. Right. You were always going out. And then if you did go home, it would be like, you'd either hang out for the night and then you'd see each other the next day, but it was never like, I don't know. I remember, and unfortunately I did it later. I was 38 and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this is not for me.
That's normal in LA though. People like, they don't settle down. Yeah. Because I think part of that too is it would have killed me if I did have someone and then I was working all day. I couldn't do that. I'd be like, would rather be with them. Yeah. So, I met some cool people in the dating scene there. Really, like, you can't really call it dating. I was just, go to dinner with some people, and I met some really amazing people that are doing so good. Yeah. Like, I'm very happy for them. And it more so is just like meeting friends and networking and stuff. That's kind of like the way that I saw it. I never had a boyfriend there. Yeah. But yeah, so I came back here and it was such a change. Oh my gosh.
I can't even imagine.
I moved to the plaza, so that was like an okay shift. I had a great transition, but then now I live in the suburbs all the way in Raymore, and I'm like, whoa. Walmart's in like my front yard.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Anyways. Yeah. So yeah.
That's so crazy. So now so you kind of had that summer where I met you, to where it was like, all right, what's going on with me? You have a background that is pretty amazing because she's redoing my website. So now where do you see yourself going? Okay. Obviously you're working with me, but you're also kind of in other projects as well. But ideally, where do you see yourself?
Gosh, it's all a mystery for me. I just kind of like I taught myself how to do websites and graphic design. I learned like very small amount of graphic design in school at Phiending. It was just like honestly 2.5 weeks. And then it wasn't until a couple of years later I really started to teach myself, because I had this vision, like I'm very visual, and I had this vision for how I wanted my Instagram to look and how I wanted to start a blog. And I wanted it to be very scrapbooky, and I wanted it to look like messy and fun and different than what I was seeing. So then I started to get into it again and taught myself how to build my website, because I had quoted some people and I was like, I think I'd rather just, I can do this myself. So I did. And then now it just kind of like, it kind of worked out super well. I love it because I do have an aesthetic, but I also love collaborating with my clients because they have different styles, and I like to incorporate mine with theirs, and then we come up with something super cool, and love bouncing off ideas. And it's been really cool to be a part of Team Phiend because we have a lot of creatives here. Everyone's creative, and it's just like, oh, this would be cool. And then you like take that idea and you make it even better. You level it up. So I love a collaborative environment. Like, yes, it's nice to work on your own on some things too to get things done. But as far as like ideas and things to where to take it, it's been cool to collab.
I love that. So if you were going to box me in an aesthetic, if you're going to describe someone, all right, so if someone is contacting you and you're like, all right, what are we pulling for Seraphine? What's her aesthetic? Give us a vibe of her. What would you say? Clothing, and just, well, you can even add a few people in there in the mix. Like,
well, I would obviously add Jared Leto in there.
Oh, of course,
she loves Jared Leto.
I do. I wish if I could dress like anybody, it would probably be
He's
him.
very cool.
He is.
His style is very, very cool, and he was one of my favorites before I even started working with Michaela, who was working with him. Well, by the way, I have to mention this first. The first day that I started working for Michaela, the assistant, Michaela's office is based in New York, but she had an assistant in LA, and it was just me and the assistant. She was like, well, guess who we're dressing tomorrow? And I was like, who? She was like, Jared Leto. I was like, no freaking way. I was like, my first day on the job and you're telling me? So anyways, that was then I met him. It's crazy. But okay, so I would definitely pull like she loves her gold jewelry. She loves to accessorize, and that's inspiring to me because I am not a big jewelry person. I like very simple. I wear this ring and this ring every day, and that's it.
And I'm putting like a middle finger earring in her thing, and I'm like, come on,
I love it. So she's pulling the accessories out of me. So anyways, lots of accessories. I think like the boots, black leather jackets, like chic. You pull some pieces that are like show stoppers, like anything with like gold, eye-catching pieces. She wore this blazer from Dylan Lex like last week or the week before, and it was like this gold. It was a
jacquard. Jacket with that. What is that? It almost reminded me of the tube socks. I know that sounds really weird, but there's an insert with the bell sleeves that is like an athletic stripe.
Yes, super cool. So she likes details too. Yeah. So in her clothing and things with like cool, interesting details, I would pull. She likes the bigger belts. She's like a very petite person, but she likes to do the oversized stuff. Yep. So that's what I would pull clothing wise. And then people wise, obviously like I said, Jared Leto. She loves Cameron Diaz and Drew Barrymore. So any of those like those beautiful ladies that are like just doing age super well. Yeah. They're like inspiring to me too. Yep. I love that because they're aging gracefully. So they're going to be, that's what
it's cool. Well, I love it because the one thing it's pretty cool when you're listening to Chelsey, and if you ever have the opportunity to ever work with her, is she is just, her eyes are open. And again, don't take her coldness for anything. That's nothing. She's got the warmest heart, but she's observing. And the fact that I gave her a little test today. I'm like, all right, tell me. And she's on frickin' point. The only other person I would add to that list is I'm a huge Angelina Jolie fan. Like, oh my God, that woman. And then I wish I could just like figure out how Demi Moore, like, this woman is she just keeps reinventing herself. She's a badass.
She really is.
Last question I have for you. If you were going to have dinner with anyone dead or alive, And of course, Hassan's there, Giovanna's there, I'm there, Aaron, all those people that you, of course, would be in your top 3.
Yes.
Who else would be in the 3?
Oh.
Rich, famous, dead, alive.
Let's think for a second. Okay. So I love, I'm trying to think of like old Hollywood.
Yeah.
Obviously, I love Marilyn Monroe. I think Marilyn Monroe had so much more than what we saw. She had a lot of struggles, and I would have just loved to have gotten to know her more behind the scenes, because I've read some things about her, and I'm like, gosh, she was struggling.
Yeah.
So she would be someone cool to have dinner with. I'm gonna think of some people after this and be like, gosh, I should have said them. I don't know. Probably like. This is a personal, someone close to me, but like my mom's dad, he died when I was really young, and I would have just liked to have gotten to know him a little bit better. But I would love, again, I was super duper duper close to my great grandma, and she passed away a few years ago, and I would give anything to have her meet Hassan. She never got to meet him, and she would have just loved him so much. So that I'm going to take all those people back, and except for my grandpa, but my great grandma, 100%. She used to be the one, like I have videos of her dancing. Hilarious. I'll have to show you these videos of her, but just to have a dinner with her and Hassan and let her meet him, she would have just loved him.
I love it. That is a perfect answer. I love hearing that. I love asking that question, because you can always tell where a person is at in their mind. And I think it's so great that, your husband, because I really relate to that. He's such a huge part of my life. So yeah, I am loving doing these interviews, because it gives you guys a chance to understand like who the people are, not behind me, but beside me. I mean, I really love this team, and I'm so glad you're a part of it.
Me too.
And her and I are literally talking next week about me trying to like keep her on and just keep that talent and that energy and that vibe going, because I love my triad. We've got this perfect little triangle of like perfect people in the group.
We've got a good team.
We do. We totally do. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me under the Seraphine sign. This was Phiending. For more, please like and subscribe. And where can they find you, by the way? I know you're private right now, but I'm going to try and push you. You think you can? I guess you can find her on my stuff. But
well, I have a second Instagram that I'm really going to start putting like my work on. So you can find me on my personal Instagram at @ChelseysNicole __. And then my business account is Chelsey with a Y, Chelsey Nicole Creative.
All right. Perfect.
Yes.
You heard it here first. This woman is amazing, and definitely check her out and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the other side.
Bye.
Bye.